Stugotz, Lionel Messi, who has played 3.5 games, is now the 4th leading scorer in Inter Miami history. Because every time he goes every time he goes out there, he scores 2 goals, and it's ridiculous. And it made me think of LeBron and Bosh and Wade get on the stage, and if it had been really easy for them to do it the way Durant did, 72 games, we would have hated it. We wouldn't have remembered it, and it would have been like really. But the way they did it, because it was hard, it needed to be kind of hard. And we all had to see it had to be kind of hard to respect it. If Messi's just going to come into this league and score goals whenever he wants,
you start to question the league, don't you?
Well,
I mean, seriously, no one else has ever done this in this league. No one.
I'm not a soccer expert, but my understanding of it is this is like if the big three came together to play in the G League. And that's why it's so simple.
Right.
I think it's too much is what I'm telling you. I think they've gone overboard on the Messi. And you can come and see his dominance, but why am I watching him play against guys who are clearly not as good as he is?
Have we left open the possibility that we're, as a market down here, South Florida sports getting punked? Because this just doesn't make sense what's happening right now. The Panthers make the final. The Heat make it. We get Messi. UM in the final. It's just like, Ashton Kutcher is about to show up and just be like, this is all fake.
Who?
Ashton Kutcher? Sorry, Kutcher.
What just happened to you?
I misspoke. I said his name wrong. Everyone knew who I was talking about. Let's just sit
here.
You know what?
Matthew
Let's all
Kutcher,
shut up.
though. I mean,
Let's just stay where we were. You know what?
know what?
You're right. We shouldn't keep it moving. Let's stop.
So you think
what did I mean there?
All the sports got together with Cooch and was like, hey, you know what? Let's just mess with Chris.
Let's
Cody
not move on yet.
Miami.
Let's stay here, Dan. I made a mistake. So what happened was.
You remember those Cooch balls?
I love those.
They were great.
I actually bought some at the airport the other day, way overpriced, because they were out there, and I'm surprisingly an anxious flyer. So I'll go through the store and I'll get anything that I feel like will titillate me during my flights. You know what I mean?
I love a flight titillation.
Yeah, exactly right. So I saw it was 2 of them, and the point of them is to put on your luggage so you can kind of see which is your luggage. They're like luggage
distinguish
tags.
your luggage.
Yeah,
I like
but
that.
I bought it once I was already in, so my luggage was now gone. Like I didn't need that anymore. But I thought, whatever, I'll play with the Koosh balls while I'm on the flight. Love a good Koosh ball, but way overpriced. Like $9 for 2 of them. They were mini Koosh balls. You guys remember Rosie O'Donnell's show?
Spent 15 hours on airplanes yesterday.
That's too much.
No Koosh balls.
Really? How'd you do it?
Reading books and Sudoku.
People like to make their bags stand out. I like mine to blend in. I don't want anyone
Worst
taking
take
my
I've ever
bag.
heard.
No, dude.
If it blends in, someone will take your bag.
No, I need to check the label.
Oh, you think that if your bag's too interesting, someone's going to be like,
Zagak.
ooh, bet that dude's got some
Zagak.
awesome stuff.
What's in that bag?
Nobody's looking at my bag. You know why? Because it's unnoticeable.
But someone would think it was their bag and they'd
Right.
take it by accident.
Yeah, but you check the label and then you move on.
I had some flight camaraderie yesterday, which was really great.
Flamaraderie.
Yeah, a little camaraderie. I was, is it like, you know,
That
my
you
little
could
row
say.
seats. There was me and a woman who was speaking Spanish, and then there was another guy in a seat, and he was just such a jerk. And me and this woman just looked at each other like, this mother. And we just, the whole flight, we complained with our eyes without using any words in English or Spanish. And I just felt so close to her. It was great. Flamaraderie.
Chris Cody,
Austin Kutcher.
you have, I want to salute you. I want everyone to stop and sink into the quicksand of what is really, right now, our heroic leader. Having grown so much into the position of leadership that he looked around the room and he said to everybody, yeah, I made a mistake. And what's the group going to do? Oh, look, convenient. Everyone's going to pounce on me. You know what? I'm going to lead here. Let's sink into it. And that's what happened afterward. Billy and Dominique were forced to make content.
We didn't even talk about Rosie O'Donnell's show.
Right.
True leadership from Chris Cody. When he's right, we all of us knew exactly who you meant, and yet all of us perked up. Look, a weak one. Look, someone.
We're so used to it around here.
Someone leaking confidence. Everybody, like harpy eagles. Let's swoop down and sever his innards.
One of my teammates, so I used to call out one of my teammates because he was from Florida and he would make up words. I used to call him out and correct him. And one time he told me, and it was like cutting, but it made sense. If you can correct me, you knew what I meant. So I don't correct people anymore. Because he was like, yeah, you're just correcting me to be an asshole to show that, like, oh, you read books. Like, if you correct me, you knew what I meant. And I use that all the time now. And Chris is right, but it's also funny to roast people.
Yeah, but I have to change this about myself because I have created this environment because I am that. I will correct you every time.
It's Spidley.
But
assuming you want to learn.
No. Whether they
Nope.
need to learn or not, sometimes things need to be called out. I had a teammate who came over to me, and we're about to get on the flight to go to a game, and I'm in Colorado. This is a different teammate right now. And he came over and said, "Na-da-da-foo." And I was like, huh? "Na-da-da-foo." What? Then he pointed to his neck where he had a tie hanging around it. "Hey, foo, you know how to tie a tie." And I was like, no, this stops here. I will not. I don't know what, he was from Texas. I don't know what language you are speaking. I don't know that accent, but I will not. I understood what he was saying at that point. But I was like, no, I will not participate in Tayo Tafu. Wow. He also said "noot" one time, which is something that I loved and I kept. Yeah. We were talking and he was like, "Oh, I should have noot that fool." Was like that. I was like, "Oh yeah, I like that noot. Good word. Add it to the repertoire." "Natatafu," terrible phrase.
Dominique, when you saw, I don't know if this happened to everybody in our audience, I feel like such a fool so often, just with everything that's happening in America all the time. I'm like, that's not a thing. That's a thing, really? Okay. And yesterday's reaction to that team was that for me. Somehow I'm still surprised. Somehow I'm still the fool who's like, really, you're going to make fun of these people?
We're all rooting for the same team?
Aren't we all in America rooting for the American team to win? No, we're not. We're happy they lost.
Are you bothered by it? Like, honestly, I didn't hear much about that until you started talking about it today. And maybe that's just, I'm not much of an X user anymore, the Twitter. And it's not like some big social statement. It's just, I don't find Twitter interesting as much as I used to. So I didn't notice that. I just watched them come up short and I saw it and was like, that sucks. I wanted them to win. That sucks. But I didn't really notice that people were like rejoicing in it. I'm not surprised, but I didn't notice it.
It was the least surprising thing I've ever seen. I expected it. I mean, the hard truth of it is people love to shit on women. That's their favorite thing to do, and they had the perfect opportunity to shit on someone who they don't agree with and who is a woman. Like, plain and simple, that was just going to happen.
But it makes me feel like an honest idiot that I would look at how politically disaligned am I with people that in sports, our alleged area of expertise. I'm watching a group of women who are doing the best thing in sports that can be done, use the platform to elevate around the world girls. Now, you can be someone who gets mad at the Barbie movie. I have not seen it. You could be the person who doesn't like that message in 2023 for whatever. You love men should have the power, religion should have the power, whatever your reasons are for taking away, the rights of a woman's body, everything else, whatever gets our show called Too Woke. That team was too woke. Woke is what allegedly lost from the weaponized the World Cup. But what that team actually did was elevate the entire sport in a way that had to be super fatiguing because they weren't just doing that. Equal rights they were fighting for, and they were trying to be political activists as well.
The argument just doesn't make sense because they've been woke for a very long time. They were woke when they won.
Yeah, but they were winning. So
yeah,
people
so
were waiting for them to lose before they criticized.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry if this is not the right way to feel, but being a pioneer sucks. Like, you don't get to be a celebrated pioneer. Like, you make this point all the time, Dan, about what it took for people to actually celebrate Muhammad Ali. Like, during that time, he was not celebrated. So if you are trying to make systemic societal change, it's going to suck for you. It's a sacrifice. It's martyrdom, essentially. And it's a tough thing to deal with in any process. I've been heavily involved in unions since I was in NFL. And I just remember looking back at union history, all the success that we as current athletes have, and money and insurance and pensions, the athletes that actually made the sacrifice, the players that actually gave up the sacrifices to get those things, do not benefit from them. And that's just the way that society works.
And you can say it that way, and that's the hardened capitalist way of sports. Everyone's disposable. But I would say to you, before we bury what this team is, call them losers, question choking, PKs, whatever the details are, these women, 4 women in sports, were Ali. They were Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali didn't go from most hated man in America to most loved until he lost his ability to speak. These women have not lost their ability to speak, but they are no longer backed by the winning that made them conquerors, champions, and not just pioneers in their sport, pioneers across the world. That shouldn't be lost in the minutia of whether you lost a game by millimeters.
It's not lost in the minutia to people who care about it. Like people like you and people like me and people
who care about that side of it, that aspect of it.
That's not lost in it. But what the point I'm making is not about society, or it's not about capitalism, or it's not about sports. It's about sacrifice. And like, if you are going to push forward any agenda, there will be casualties, and not literally, but sometimes literally. And in this way, their public persona, their ability to go anywhere and be applauded, that's what they gave up. And that's what should be celebrated. But what comes along with that, nothing in life is free. And it's a conversation that I have with, I was going to say with my kids, but honestly with myself all the time, where it's like, look, I want all the good stuff and none of the bad stuff. That ain't how it works. And I noticed that in this office, in this community all the time, is you complain sometimes about how things are not organized, how things aren't on top of things, or how everyone's not on top of things. But what comes with the loosey-goosey nature of this organization is a fun atmosphere. In other places, it's run like a military camp. You may not have the fun, but people might show up all the time on time. It's a trade-off. And everything in life, there's always going to be a trade-off, and you're going to kill yourself trying to get people to have progress and also be celebrated at the same time.
How amazing the stakes, though, Stugotz, seriously. The place that this team took the stakes. How amazing is it that this country that did not care about women playing when they started and didn't care about soccer the way they do now? Remember Brandi Chastain handing down to other American women something that would lead the world in strength. For the stakes to get so high that them losing before the championship round is a source of laugh at them and dance on their grave? It's the highest compliment you can give to activists in our time, that they would risk that pioneering martyrdom because, Rapinoe stands for something. It ain't losing. It's not what she stands for. Maybe yesterday, not to history. Stugotz's weekend observations are on the way. Johnny Manziel going to spend a couple of segments with him. I'm sure that Netflix documentary has to be interesting because just from what I'm reading aggregated about him saying he was bipolar, basically what I'm assuming is happening there is we're all feeding it Johnny Manziel as he's a college star and he's going through something of a mental breakdown, and we're covering him as if he's not going through a mental breakdown, making it all the worst. It's putting out a fire with lighter fluid. So we'll talk to Johnny Manziel about that. But I wanted to read a quote to you guys about Tubby Smith because college sports is just such a magical anarchy of chaos and commerce right now, where you see as soon as the players asked for money, everybody said, oh man, the gig is up. Everything, the injustice is up. Now everybody run for your lives. So you got bowl representatives in their orange jackets running in one direction, and you got Pac-10 teams saying, we got no loyalty to you. What? History doesn't matter because just everybody's running to television dollars. And it happened as soon as we gave the players some power. So Tubby Smith, champion basketball coach, says of NIL and transfers and all that stuff, quote, I've been in this business a long time, never seen anything like it. We had over 800 Division I players transfer last year. We're teaching them how to quit. That's what we're doing. That's not going well. Let's quit. And then Tubby Smith does, this is exactly what you want to give young people when they want the rules changed because you've benefited from the rules and they haven't. He said he had a conversation with his father, and when he wanted to quit, his father said, you're still getting your scholarship, aren't you? They're still feeding you? They're still housing you? You're still getting an education? Well, you can't come home. Your bed's taken, but you can join the Army.
He has a net worth of $13 million.
That's all? You got a gambling problem?
I know. It's kind of low.
Tubby made more than that.
This is according to CelebrityNetWorth.com, which I know is really reliable.
Tubby Smith has to have
It's got to be more than that, right?
Tubby Smith as a champion in Kentucky. I'm going to tell you the only thing I remember about Tubby Smith at Kentucky. Can you guys put up that video of him on a motorcycle in Kentucky, coming out on the court. He's wearing leather. He's wearing a lot of black. There's fire going into the sky.
This is going well. This is going well, and it's not.
And he doesn't know how to ride a motorcycle, and now he's on his side, and the motorcycle is on him. He was going 4 miles an hour. Is there something I'm not understanding about the slipperiness of a basketball court there?
No, he's just not an athlete anymore, and it's pretty embarrassing. And the bike is heavier than he thought, and he's annoying, and I'm mad at him now.
Am I a nerd for thinking like motorcycles, risk reward, one of the worst options?
So bad.
I mean, especially the hogs, right? That's what they call those big ones. Like, I feel like they're not even cool. I don't like those bikes. They don't look neat.
Billy, I'm with you though. No, of course, I don't understand. Yes, the freedom of 100 miles an hour in your face because you're not protected by anything. I guess that's wonderful to somebody, but I'm not that flippant about life. I'm not that brave.
What are you saying? It's not worth. The rush is not worth the risk because I believe that it is. We don't know how to ride motorcycles. You get in a car every day. There's risk there.
Okay, there's not that risk though. Where if I make a mistake on a motorcycle, I am going to die more likely than if I get into a car accident by leaps and bounds. Anytime someone whizzes past me on a highway on a motorcycle, I'm like, salute to you, person. You are braver than I am. Also, you care about your life less than I do, and you have more confidence in your abilities of all kinds than I do.
But you're always jealous. You're always jealous though when there's a traffic jam and they just hit the lines on you.
So jealous.
I hate that.
That's the only time I wish I had a motorcycle.
They're cheating.
I hate that.
Really?
I
mean, I'm
kinda
jealous then.
Put my car a little bit in the way so they can't get by, but then that'll just make a confrontation, and I don't want the confrontation.
You put your car out there and then you regret it immediately. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't appreciate that out of you, Billy. That crab in the barrel mentality.
Just follow the rules.
I know, but I am happy for them in that moment. I'm like, look, yeah, you get there. Ride free, brother. Ride free.
I mean, look what happened to Bobby Petrino. He went on a motorcycle. Things went real poorly.
Do we trust internet net worths? Stugotz says $6 million.
Lie.
Man, that's low.
We heard about that Venmo balance earlier.
Yeah. The thing about motorcycles, though, like, it's not just you're trusting yourself. You're trusting everyone else around you to follow the rules and not in anywhere. Like, don't hit me with your car, please.
Not in anywhere. Billy, the driving here.
Well, there's motorcycles everywhere.
Yeah, but there are also dead bicyclists everywhere. The driving here is really bad.
I love how around here we don't follow any rules except for the takeout delivery parking space at restaurants.
I don't like that.
It's like there's the only rule we follow in society down here. We'll cut you off. We'll fight you on the way for a parking spot unless it's a takeout spot. We'll leave that one. That one's always empty. It's the one rule in South Florida that we are just like, nope, can't break that. That spot is for Flanagan's takeout only.
I saw a cop parked at one of those the other day, and I wanted to roll down my window, knock on their window, and say, sir, this is not a reserved parking space for you. I'm going to tell you something.
But
it's a cop. I don't want to be knocking
if you're a cop, why take that space? Just park in front of
park wherever you want.
Why is somebody getting takeout better than me? That's the same. You're buying food. I'm eating it in there. You're leaving with it. Why do you get a good parking space?
It's in and out. It's like
but just
we're
walk
careful. We're like a couple steps away from you saying why do handicapped people get spots closer to the front.
That I understand. I just don't understand why this person doing takeout needs a great spot.
I used the child parking spot one time or one or two times. Those spots have
Expecting
disappeared.
mothers?
No. The one that has like the little green thing on it that you hang and it's like you have a new child, whatever. You can buy the decal when you have the baby, right? So at the time when I was growing up, those were everywhere. I'm like, I cannot wait to have a kid so I can just park in the front with this stroller parking. Like this is the best. Except they all disappeared except Bye Bye Baby, and then Bye Bye Baby disappeared. And then like that whole parking lot was that, so it was completely useless. So I went to Michael's one time, and Michael's for whatever reason had one spot in the front that was reserved for that. And it was before Mother's Day, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my daughter. We're going to get something cutesy-wootsy to give to my wife for Mother's Day.
So you guys don't want to know Tubby Smith about being
We'll get
a
to him.
hypocrite?
We'll get to him. We'll get to him.
Mm-hmm. We don't want to do that?
So
Okay.
I'm there. I'm parked in the spot, right? And I'm like, oh, my God, I can't believe I get to use this spot. It was a rush. And then a cop knocked on my window and was like, to use this spot, you need to have your child. And I was like, and I rolled down the back window. I said, the kid's in the back. And I pointed at the kid, and then the cop apologized to me, and I felt a rush. Felt like I could break all the rules that day, even though I didn't break any.
It's like riding a motorcycle. It's just a rush just to get kids in the back.
I felt that on a jet ski, too. Jet skis are like the motorcycles of the sea, where I want to push it and hit it as hard as I could, but I also felt my hand grip slipping the harder that I was going. but I didn't want to stop. And I thought this could be a problem if I ever buy one.
Do you think anyone's ever like laid out the hypocrisy to the college coaches? Are they open to understanding it? Because it seems so brazen. And like I've been trying to be more understanding and not be as arrogant, because I feel like a couple years ago, I think I was really arrogant on TV all the time, like talking down to people and I hated that about myself. So I've tried to be more conscious of that in my regular life. And I just wonder if politicians fall in this category, but college coaches, like, are they consciously like, no, I am not going to allow you guys to convince me? Or do you think they truly believe that what they're saying is right?
Given one or the other, I think that while they're similar, jet skis probably safer than motorcycles. If you fall off, you could drown, but you also have a life jacket on. But you'd think that the water's harder than the street if you fall off. But they say that if you hit it at the right speed, it's just as hard as hitting concrete.
Do you think the risk reward is worth it to be a college athlete? Like, is the risk that you're taking in your career and your life? Because I know you think the risk is just being a player, but it's not only that. And so on a serious note, I made a lot of sacrifices to play football, and we've talked about this before. I realized, like, I couldn't take the major that I wanted. I couldn't do internships in the summer. I couldn't work. I couldn't do all these things that other students may do to prepare themselves to have a life after sports. There were certain classes I couldn't take because it was all to play sports. And then I was a third-round pick, and honestly, it wasn't worth it. I got a second contract. Then I was like, it was all worth it. So for being an athlete, is that risk reward similar to that of motorcycle riding?
No one ever really thinks of the negatives of a life jacket, right? Like, sure, it'll stop you from drowning, but there's times that you just want to go deep into the ocean, and having that life jacket stops you, so it'll make the force a lot greater when you hit it.
And no one ever thinks about the negatives of being a big-time college athlete. There are plenty of negatives besides just the physical toll that it takes on you. It's sacrifices that you're making for the rest of your life that will be hard to come back from, that I don't think people appreciate. And when we look at the coaches and they're like, oh, these guys moving from here to there, that's because their whole life is contingent on the decisions that they make at this point right now. Like the trajectory of their life can be impacted by their decisions, which is why, to me, it makes sense. If things aren't working out at one place, you should be able to go somewhere else.
Sometimes not having a place to stop, though, is just like a rush in itself, right? That's why the hog life is for some. You just take the road and see where the road takes you.
What if you run out of gas?
25 mil for Dan, huh?
Low.
Wow. No.
Low.
Really?
What's Tubby Smith ever done? He's out here acting like he's just the moral authority. Like, what's the sacrifice he's made? Somebody tell me. It's a serious question. I don't want to come down on Tubby Smith if he's like
What if he has like a great sacrifice?
Yeah, I know. That's why I phrased it as a question. That's why you guys need to start Googling.
He can't like his first name, right?
He lives in Lubbock. Lived in Lubbock. That's a pretty big sacrifice.
That's got to be a nickname, right? What's his real first name?
Orlando.
His first name's not Tubby.
Orlando Henry Tubby Smith.
Orlando's a dope first name.
It is.
Wow. Not the Orlando Magic, though.
Big O.
Oscar Robertson?
Orlando Alzagari.
That's the one.
So, Billy, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
The very beginning of the show, you said you had conversations with yourself that are like conversations that you are anticipating having with someone else.
Correct.
Billy, do you also ask yourself if you can ask a question?
Sometimes.
That resonated with me because I do the same thing. And, like, I've had full-out arguments with my wife in my head, and then I never actually have the argument with her, which I actually think is probably healthy.
Well, do you feel like you resolve the issue when you have the argument in your head?
Yeah, I feel better. I mean, sometimes it goes over the course of a couple days, but I think I've learned that the minor, whatever it is, while it may feel major at the moment, whatever she's done to piss me off may feel major at the moment, but I have the whole conversation in my head. I get it all off my chest, and the thing that I always try to do that I can't do in the moment of anger sometimes is remind myself, we on the same team. Her intentions are good. Her purpose is not to upset me.
I have a friend that I text when I want to text my wife something.
Oh,
like,
Not
good.
a dangerous game.
And it's just like he knows that if it's just a random thing about laundry, it's just me getting something off my chest.
Right.
Nice.
Next segment, we read those texts.
You trust this friend?
I never tell people negative things about my wife.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, it feels weird. Like, I feel like, I don't know. It's like, if I got a problem with you, I got a problem with you. You don't need to know about it.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. 96 calories. Great taste. Available for delivery. You okay?
Keep up, Chris Cody. Let's go.
Dan, every February, our country falls into a deep depression. The second it's over, we start counting down the days until it starts again. We fill the time with baseball and Joey Chestnut. But Dan, over the weekend, we saw signs of life. A game, a Hall of Fame induction ceremony, a sweaty and most likely hungover Chris Berman mumbling his way through Canton. This week, Hard Knocks on Tuesday, and a full slate of games over the weekend. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, football is back.
Yeah, my wife is so mad.
About football?
Yeah, well, because it comes in and eats up our Sundays, and we should be at Butterfly Gardens.
Sad place is Butterfly Gardens.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, because you know they're all going to be dead in like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
I think my brother's service is going to be at one.
Oh.
Jeez.
Lovely places, Butterfly Gardens.
Mm-hmm. Marriage, huh?
I want to be at the Butterfly Gardens, but I can't stop caring about Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask, kind of like a butterfly.
Speaking of back, Simone Biles.
Yeah. She's pretty amazing.
Yeah, she's back.
She had to take
And better than ever, actually.
She had to take a break, and it seems pressurized what she does, and it seems like it could hurt, and it might be a mental health check. And also, she's great. Best ever. Uh-huh.
She's back.
Yeah.
Those of you who woke up at 5 a.m. for the U.S. soccer game, I woke up at 7:15 a.m. and saw just as many goals as you did. Suckers. Dan, you know what the S in soccer stands for?
Suckers.
Yeah, well, you are on it.
Yeah.
That was quick, my
Yes.
man. Wow.
It's
Suckers.
It's amazing.
I got 2.5 extra hours of sleep. Saw just as many goals. Suckers.
Yeah. Soccer suckers.
Yeah. Dan, you know what this Wednesday is?
Wednesday?
It's Say Day on Stupidity.
Is it really?
Ron Say, all 5-10 of them. The Penguin.
Billy, why are you rolling your eyes? Is it not any good?
You know, it was something that we all went through. He's got a book. Go buy it.
It is not the way.
got a book.
What kind of that, Billy? You can't be so lazy selling stupidity that way. Are you promising the people it's not any good? Because Stugotz is out here telling everybody it's going to be worth listening to. He got to talk to Ron Say, boyhood idol.
Well, it was a situation where, like, we were asking him, obviously, his all-time Dodgers team, position by position. And then he was kind of telling us who didn't qualify as an all-time Dodger and who did. And then I was just going and looking up names from like 1940 and throwing them at him as if I knew who they were. And then arguing with him why I thought they should be in and they shouldn't be in.
Right, but he has the final say.
That's the whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Billy, what are you not understanding? All it is about is how do I get to Ron Say has the final say.
I got it. At some point, though, I did text. I go, I need to stop. This man's like 73. I need to be nicer.
No, and what? And Stugotz gave you 7 hours of material to cut into 9 minutes?
Well, that's it. It's extended interview with Ron Say, we'll say.
You trimmed that down to 7 minutes. He was on with us for 2 days. Where was I? How does Brad Penny not have a podcast called A Penny for Your Thoughts?
Who would listen to that?
It's totally fair. I do not want Penny's thoughts for free, but it's still a good idea.
Life advice from Brad Penny. Billy, are you just now realizing that all Stugotz has in the holster is final say or penny for your thoughts? Give me $7 million.
Why did you think of Brad Penny this week?
I don't know. No idea. Max Scherzer thinks the answer to everything is a set of crazy eyes, a head of crazy hair, and a sprint to the mound. He does.
Yeah.
It works usually.
I miss that time in baseball.
I know people want me to, but I'm not. I'm not going to make fun of Darrell Revis the greatest New York Jet of all time. Not going to do it. Dan, you know what the D in Darrell Revis stands for?
I do not.
Donuts. It stands for donuts. How'd that get in there? The only thing Darrell Revis is locking down these days is dinner reservations.
Oh,
what happened there, Chris?
Come on.
Chris, did you not take these out?
Come on. We're going to body shame Revis Island.
The only thing Darrell Revis is shutting down these days is the buffet.
Oh, here. I mean, these are too easy. This is not right. You are politically incorrect. I've got one space, America. Cancel culture. I got one space. I'm going to make fun of athletes getting fat. You're not going to take that away from me.
You know what the F in Darrell Revis stands for?
Here we go.
Fat.
There's not an F.
What? Darrell Revis looks like he could still play. Nose tackle. Revis Island. More like Revis Pyland.
A pile of food?
A pie.
Oh, pie land. My bad.
Yeah. You got to say it quickly, though, just, you know.
Yeah.
I'm done making fun of Revis.
I don't believe you.
I'm telling you. Out of jokes.
That was your best material?
I mean, locking down reservations pretty good. Shutting down. I had cheeseburger originally. He was shutting down a cheeseburger.
There was a cheeseburger joke.
Shut down a buffet. I mean, how about that fat one, too? The F?
Yeah. The F in Revis. And Darrell Revis.
Zach Thomas.
His middle name is Frank.
Zach Thomas looks like he could still plug a hole with the best of them. Top 5 things to use if you need to plug a hole.
Oh, no.
Number 5, standard putty knife and some spackle. Number 4, your finger.
Hell yeah.
Number 3, a Bo Derek poster. Number 2, Flex Seal. And number 1, Zach Thomas.
Oh, look at that. Went differently than I thought it was going to go.
Did it, huh? Watch out for the Rangers.
You said watch out for the Angels, and they immediately lost 6 straight. Longest losing streak of the season.
Now I'm telling you to watch out for the Rangers. They're good. Imagine DeGrom was healthy.
You said watch out for the Angels, and they straight lost 4 at home to the Mariners. First time it's happened since 2005.
Did you start to bet on them?
Bet against them as soon as you said watch out for the Angels.
We'll start betting against the Rangers. Tiki Barber presented Rondé Barber into the Hall of Fame over the weekend. You, of course, know what that means, right, Dan?
I do not.
It means a couple of barbers were cutting it up.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been funny if rather than ask Tiki to present,
Yeah.
Rondé Barber had asked Michael Strahan.
Oh, come on.
What happened
That is cruel. It would have been funny, though. It would.
Poor Zach Wilson. He makes a great throw, and Aaron Rodgers gets all the credit. In fact, for the rest of his career, anything positive that happens will be because of Aaron Rodgers, and anything bad that happens will be because of Zach Wilson. Seems like a classic lose-lose situation. What happened there? Speaking too much. Aaron Rodgers was smiling and laughing as he walked through the Pro Football Hall of Fame looking at all the busts. Top 5 things Aaron Rodgers had going through his mind as he was smiling and laughing walking through the Hall of Fame. Number 5, how difficult it was to find a bust of anyone who played for the Jets. Number 4, the idea of going in as a Jet rather than a Green Bay Packer. Number 3, imagining the day Randall Cobb introduces him into the Hall of Fame. Number 2, how the bleep Joe Namath's 173 touchdowns and 217 interceptions got him into the same room that he'll eventually be in.
That's true.
And number 1, nothing. He was just on mushrooms.
Are you with Deion Sanders? There should be an upper room to the Hall of Fame, that there are too many busts downstairs, and you got to put in the upper room, you got to put Deion Sanders. There's like 9 guys that everybody's like, yep, they deserve to be up there by themselves.
I agree with that, yes. There should be a different room. They should not all be in the same room. Joe Namath shouldn't be in any of the rooms.
Oh, no.
He's overrated.
Got you your only Super Bowl.
I wasn't alive for it. It's done nothing for me.
Makes us laugh.
Well, Broadway Joe. If by some miracle Zach Wilson eventually gets into the Hall of Fame, when they unveil his bust, it will be the face of Aaron Rodgers. Soccer, game of millimeters. On a day that a UFC event and a boxing event took place, who would have thought the most entertaining fight of the day would have taken place on a baseball diamond? Thanks again to Greg Giannotti and the folks at WFAN for making a dream come true last week. Top 5 best moments for me at WFAN.
Oh, here we go.
Number 5, my 7th word on WFAN being a curse word on a show that I wasn't hosting. Number 4, meeting the great Eddie Schizzeri. Number 3, hugging the great Eddie Schizzeri. Number 2, pulling the great Eddie Schizzeri in for a second hug and him accepting it. And number 1, having a heater on a New York City street corner with the great Eddie Schizzeri.
I mean, that's a good day.
Oh, man.
That is a dream come true.
Not
right
for Eddie,
there.
for me.
No, that is right there, a radio legend.
Don't tell Aaron Rodgers the bust in Canton don't speak to one another. Jose Ramirez is not to be trifled with. Tim Anderson, glass jaw. Dan, you know what the T in Tim Anderson stands for?
I do not.
Tomato can. An annual tradition unlike any other. The penalty kick conversation. PKs, tell me again how soccer is alive and well in this country.
No, don't
Please.
do this. Don't do this.
Sorry. Rich Hill is still doing it.
He's not very well.
So is Lance Lynn.
Better.
Dallas Keuchel is a Twinkie.
What? You watched some Sunday Night Baseball last night, did you?
A little bit, yep. It's on the right side of it, Lance Lynn. I don't care what tour you're on. You shoot a 58, and you deserve some credit. Bryson DeChambeau, hell of a day. A 58. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.